Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
It is 11:03 here in The Lock Shop, and you're riding with Mr. 10th place in the tournament last night. That's a big thing. I'm going to get a 10th place belt. Wear it around the office. Good time last night, Lock Shop Poker Series. Matt over on the Nasty Chat. Hey, and if you're watching the Lock Shop right now, hammer the thumbs up for us. That would be great. Matt over in the Nasty Chat says, Dusty, thanks for streaming last night. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Had that big win when I caught the straight on the river that took me from, I was all in, and took me from that up to like 48,000. That was huge. And then I didn't even get hosed, but I had an ace high flush that I was never going to fold. And a guy caught a full house on the river. So, I can't even really be mad with, I would have done it again. I'm never going to fold an ace high flush. It's not happening. Bronco Nick says, guys, had a pair of queens and went all in against Casino Dealer J. Casino Dealer J actually ended up winning it. He had ace king, pulled a king on the turn. I did make it past the first break. So that's good. And Spency 5 cents, he says, Dusty's basically a DJ now. Yeah, I guess I was DJing last night. I was leading into songs. Like I said last night, I felt like I was kind of drunk, but I think it's because I sleep like 3.5 to 4 hours a night. And by 10 o'clock at night, I guess I'm just drunk on life in the day. But it was fun last night. Lars Weiss says, highest finish by an EST staffer, Dusty? In last night's tournament, yeah, Tommy went out early. Tommy was bitching about his cards pretty early. Matty said he got tired when he came in today, and he must have because he went all in with a pair of eights. So yeah, I guess I was the last. Trying to think, Matty made a final table one time. So that's probably the highest all-time finish. And then Remo obviously did really, really well. But it was a good time last night. So thank you very much for being there. We will 100% be doing another one in February, and the stream will just get better and better and better. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Big Uke says, I honestly don't know how I ended up lasting as long as I did. Was short stacked for you. Every time I looked at you at the list, Uke was like at 3,500 chips. And he just sort of kept hanging around and around and around, and he ended up getting it done. Cowboy says, DJ Dusty was not what I expected during a poker tournament. And I was prepping for the show. I was actually prepping notes. I had a lot going on. It was terrific. It was a good time. Let's bring in Patty. That was my favorite event so far. Maybe because I finished 10th. Maybe because I added music to the stream. But Patty, that was a good time last night, man. I love these poker events.
It's a lot of fun. I was following along in the stream, in and out, popping in, coming back out, popping in, and the jump scare that was when I joined and I wasn't looking down at the screen, and then all of a sudden my AirPods music was blaring. I'm like, oh no, has the stream gone down? I was like, oh no, Dusty's just DJing with goal songs from EST. This is amazing. No, it was awesome. It was a great night. I told you
called it, man.
Gods would be on your side. I knew the tides were going to turn. A 10th place finish, highest EST or WSD talent to finish inside the top 10.
It sounds good.
It's not a career high. I think what Remus finished third.
Remo was second, I think, in the very first one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew he was close. We know Matty was on the last table one time as well, but 10th. That's something to hang your hat on. I'm sure
I was in the money.
I was going to say you got to be in the money at top 10, but shout out Casino Dealer J. He finishes with a big win. Big Mape. Saw Big Mape finished inside the top 10.
Good run
Pancakes.
There too. Yeah.
Penner's Pancake, I think 3.0 because he did have
third one.
many buy-ins. But hey, that's a part of the game, man. If you're not, it doesn't make your win any less, or not win, but your top 4 finish any less important. I mean, that's a part of the rules. You can buy back in. So, we finished with, I think it was like 60 unique players and then 15 buybacks. So a total of 75 which is pretty solid. Yeah. Which is pretty solid. So, and that's all with the biggest poker head of them all, Huss. Zip lining and jumping into bodies of water, living his best life.
You know what? That was it. Now I remember my beef, Trev. My beef on the show this morning, because we always do. I got beef on Thursdays. My beef was going to be, I'm beefing with Huss because I'm so jealous of his freedom. That was going to be my beef. Like, it's like you guys text him like 10 days ago. Can you go to Costa Rica? He's like, yeah. And then you text him, you're like, hey, you guys want to go to Boston? And I'm like, oh my God, I have to talk to my wife and I have to clear it with my daughter because I'm not coming home till her birthday. And Huss is like, I'll walk there. My flights are booked. I'm like, God, man. Like and then he's sending these videos. He's in the pool. He's on a bloody zip line. He texts us to say, he goes, boys, I'm into the main event tonight. And I was like, and then on top of it, his hockey team's great. His football team's great. It's just, I have beef with Huss's amazing life. Like, it's just incredible. What a run.
It's been an unbelievable run, and I think it's going to continue to run. I have a really, really strong feeling that Huss is going to have a good placing at this main event. And just so folks know, maybe we'll get Jake to keep tabs once this starts. We'll send up updates. I know Huss said every time they're in breaks, he's going to send out updates as well. But I know there is a website. We'll tweet that out where you can follow him. You can follow Shags, how they're doing. But knowing Huss, I can see him having a great finish. Although this is a little, and no offense to the lock shoppers, because I know that poker tournament, I probably would be out very quickly. But this is a little bit of
He's playing with some heavies, right? Yeah, in person.
He's playing with some real heavies in person. Yeah, you know, so that's definitely a step up in caliber, but wouldn't surprise me if he goes on a heater. And the thing is, the great thing about this as well, if he goes out early, that just gives him more time to explore Costa Rica and see what it has to offer.
Which just means more content coming down the coming down the pipe. So we'll keep tabs on Huss. It is different. I mean, playing poker in person is a lot different than playing online. I mean, we know that. Have you checked in on the leaderboard here at Pebble?
I certainly have.
You see who's tied for two? Batia?
I do.
You see your boy? Yep. It's early. I mean, they're like 3, 4, 5 holes in, but Batia's at 2 under, at least on like the automatic, Google update here. McNeely's at 1 under. That was another name you had. Rory's at 1 under.
Morikawa's actually tied for T3 as well. So he's
there
in
he
there.
Is.
But
yeah, you're right.
Batia is only through 2. It was first hole, he's par. Second hole, eagle. I haven't taken a look to see how he made an eagle. And then the third hole, another par. So very, very early.
Very early. A bunch of guys haven't even teed off yet. But Scheffler's 1 over through 3. Pendy's 1 over through 3. And Aberg's 1 over through 4. So, but it's super early. Super, super early.
Yeah, super early. But again, we could always get a little bit excited on a Thursday morning.
Do you live bet golf much? Like after rounds and stuff, like do you get into that much at all?
So on a Sunday, one thing that I found that was pretty profitable for majors, or even some of the bigger tournaments, like heading into a Sunday, especially with Scotty Scheffler, that's the best time when you're going to get a really good number. Like him at plus 500, if that wasn't palpable here for you to bet it, if he's 6-7 paces off the leaderboard, I would say don't do it after Thursday, but maybe heading into the weekend on a Saturday or heading into a Sunday. That's where you can get some of those guys who had the real short odds. You can get them as a longer shot. We've seen Scotty Scheffler, eliminate leads with a blink of an eye on a Sunday. So that's usually where I do it. And especially with the, with the live betting opportunities being more available when it comes to majors, that's also an easy way. And also a way if like all your tickets are out and you're going to watch it anyways, and no one you have is in contention, maybe look down the board, see who could still have a chance. That way you have a rooting interest come Sunday.
All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. You can fire us a text, and we will get to a few of those text messages as we continue to work our way through the show today. But the poker tournament last night was absolutely incredible. We will find a date in mid to late February to bang out another one. Patty, I don't know how much poker you actually play yourself, but I was talking, the hand I went out on, I had a diamond flush. There was an ace on the board. I had the king of diamonds. Like it was, I could not have folded it, even though I could see that a full house with the aces was in play. I don't think there's a world where I can fold like the nut flush basically in that situation. Like I hated losing, but I just don't think I could have folded that hand. Like
no. And the thing is, when you get deeper and deeper and you get to just a few tables left, like you just can't play pre-vet defense at that point. You got to take your chances where you can, because fact of the matter is a lot of people that are left have a ton of chips at that point, and they can kind of bully you around as well. So you can't just sit there on your hands. You got to, when those cards present. So I totally agree with you. I would have done the same thing there. Again, it's just the luck of the draw. But hey, this is the best finish for you. So I think we're going to take the T10 here for you,
now,
the
right?
top 10 finish, and we're building up. We're going to get you inside the top 5 next time.
I'm final table guy next time. I'm feeling it.
Yep.
I'm feeling final table vibes next time. So that's going to be good. All in all, it wasn't a bad night. Dusty's Undies hits. We're running back Dusty's Undies tonight. Let's get to the NHL slate. Got some Super Bowl stuff that I want to look at as well. 780-218-9999. A busy night in the National Hockey League. No shortage of action for us to get in on. We've got EST parlays. What was Huss sending over? He sent over a WST parlay and
his Huss's pool party parlay. I think there's going to be a video coming later from him from the pool, getting mentally ready for his poker event tonight.
All right, so let's take a look at what we have up for combos and exclusives so far. Then we'll dive into the slate. Hopefully, you're riding with me on the Undies last night. Tonight we get it at -109. I think my poker winnings are probably going to be going straight to the Undies tonight, but Huss's pool party parlay +613, boosted from +534. He's got Minnesota on the money line at home against the Habs, Ottawa on the money line against the Washington Capitals, and the Flame, and that sends Caps pick. That's a classic Huss right there. We'll see if he hits it.
Yep.
And then the Flames and the Ducks taking the Calgary Flames. That's +316. We do have Dusty's Undies already up. Washington and Ottawa under 7.5. I looked at it last night during the tournament because Jake was on there. He was asking me what the Undies might be. Washington has hit under 5.5 or 6 in 10 straight games. Like, I will be, to be honest with you, I'll be heartbroken if they're the one that ruins this tonight. Like, if they play a game where they just don't. It's like impossible. They don't do it. So Capitals and Sens under 7.5. Kings and Lightning under 7.5. Flyers and Islanders under 7.5 goals comes in at -109. So you can get with us on that one. It's insane, the low scoring games that the Washington Capitals play. And the crazy thing is that they're the highest scoring team in the East, and they allow the fewest goals, which, I mean, they're finding some goals along the way, but they don't play overs.
No, they don't. And I actually was at that game a couple weeks ago, the rematch here tonight with Ottawa against the Capitals, where Ovechkin scores that game winner in overtime.
The 1-0 game, right?
The 1-0 game. And I also had Ovechkin to score, and I had him to score the first goal of the game. And for the first goal of the game to be the overtime winner is unbelievable. Yeah, so it was pretty awesome. Actually, it was the night before our game for TSN for the NLL in Ottawa. So the night before we were there, and I know you know him well, one of our producers, Peter Buchanan, he was producing the Sens game the night before as well. So Bucky got us into the press box.
Bucky's
we watched the game, and we were talking about the game after. It was the most entertaining 1-0 hockey game that we have ever seen. There was chances, but there were some great saves. But both teams, especially the Capitals, man, they just play such a responsible defensive brand of hockey, and they're very opportunistic. I know they only scored the one, but when the chances do arise, and their power play had a ton of chances, they're not an all-out attack team, but when they do get their chances, they do, not in that game, but they do find ways to get those scoring opportunities. So I love the under. I know you teased it up for your Undies. One of my favorite bets is just under 5.5. I saw the game a couple weeks ago. I know the way that both these teams play. I think it's under. Goaltending is strong. And one thing I'm going to sprinkle on, just because, again, it happened a couple weeks ago, I could see it happening again. +305, a little sprinkle for this to be this one to go to overtime. So on the 3-way money line, you hit the draw. Even just a $15 bet wins you 60-75. So I'm going to do a little sprinkle on that one as well.
We will dive into the entire NHL slate here in just a second. The WST parlay is up. It's 8-1. And you can't fade Huss right now. You got to ride with him. He's doing these picks from a pool in Costa Rica. He's got Kyle Connor and Nick Ehlers to score, and then the Jets to win 8-1. So 2 goal props, and then the Jets win at 8-1. My EST parlay, a little bit safer. McDavid 2 points or more. Draisaitl and Nuge just each with a point each, and the Oilers win. You'll get that at plus 225. We said on the morning show today, we are sprinkling an Evan Bouchard goal tonight as well, plus 375. I find it still one of the most ridiculous stats that I find hard to believe, but we are past the midway point of the season. We are, 2 days away from February. Evan Bouchard has not scored a power play goal yet this season. The Red Wings have the worst penalty kill in the National Hockey League. So, Patty, if you're ever going to score a power play goal, maybe tonight's the night.
And I know it didn't end up working in my favor last night with my Doughty bet for him to get a point. But it did help the other parlay. It certainly helped that. But with that being said, that was the only leg that didn't cash in Patty knows pucks. William Nylander scored. And then in that Devils game, I think Hughes finished with 100 shots on goal. So that was a no sweater. But Bouchard is in the same situation as Doughty is. Like, he has an opportunity to potentially make that Team Canada roster. So he wants to perform. He wants to make his way on that Team Canada club to go play with his buddy Connor McDavid at the Four Nations Cup. So for him to score against a really, really bad Red Wings penalty kill, I also think that the return to McDavid was a little bit underwhelming from his standpoint. I think he's going to be coming out firing tonight. And if they can get some power play opportunities, there's no reason why Bouchard can't get his first marker on the power play this year. And just looking at his point prop right now, minus 180, probably too juicy to play by itself. But I am going to do a Patty Knows Puck, and I can guarantee you that will be one of the legs of the parlay. So I'm going to put Bouchard for a point in there for sure.
All right, let's dive into the slate. I've got the starting goalies, which you'll find over at Daily Faceoff. And are we talking about the Puckpedia thing?
Yeah, I guess we can give it a little tease. Yeah, so we're Coolbet now is partnered with Puckpedia, so we've got some cool content stuff coming up as well. We're gonna have some custom trade deadline bets as well. So you're gonna see some of our integration on there, and of course, yeah. So when you're looking for just head over to their GM. I know we all miss the old website that used to give us all the information. Well, now you can go to them and everything there. So Puckpedia, you'll find everything. It's an all one-stop shop for all your information, whether you're looking for contracts, for lineups, for starting goalies, fantasy advice, betting advice. It's all there. So we're really super, super excited to start that. Starting up just in a couple of days here.
Oh, actually, you know what? Their starting goalie tab is great.
It's awesome.
This is awesome, actually. Yeah, this is good. And we spent yesterday on Oil Stream, we got sucked down their Puck GM page for about 40 minutes.
How fun is that?
Just lineups like about the Oilers from people who are trying to fix everything. We had one lineup yesterday that we pulled up. The guy had traded 10 guys from the Oilers, including Connor McDavid, to Tampa in a deal for like Kucherov and Braden Point. It was nuts. It's just absolutely insane. But yeah, you can find your starting goalies over at puckpedia.com. And here's what we got tonight. Korpisalo confirmed already for the Boston Bruins. Nobody confirmed yet for the Winnipeg Jets. Marc-Andre Fleury will go. Jakob Dobisch for the Habs in the Minnesota-Montreal game. Forsberg will get the start for Ottawa, unconfirmed right now for Washington. Vasilevsky and Riddick in that Kings Lightning game. Those guys are both projected at this point. Soderblom will start for the Blackhawks, unconfirmed at this point for Carolina. It'll be Sorokin for the Islanders, Fedotov for the Philadelphia Flyers. That's one of the Undies games tonight. Dustin Wolf confirmed for Calgary. Nobody confirmed yet for the Ducks. Nobody yet confirmed for the Wings. We'll watch for that here in Edmonton. Skinner right now projected to get the start for the Oilers. Neither goaltender confirmed yet in the Columbus-Vegas game. And then the Sharks and the Kraken tonight. Joey Decourt projected, and Askarov is confirmed. As for the whole slate here tonight, let's just give you the odds before we dive into some of our best bets tonight. Winnipeg, -147 on the road against Boston. Hurricanes, huge favorite. Hey, the Hawks did beat the Lightning a couple nights ago. Remember we were talking about? We're like, man, come on, it's 4-1 Chicago. Like, you just got to stay away from Chicago. Like the puck line tonight in this Carolina game, -2.5 and +112. So, I mean, they're really giving Chicago no chance here. Maybe you got to sprinkle Chicago +2.5 at -137. Anyway, Carolina's -455 on the money line. The Habs -141 at home against the Wild. The Capitals and Sens almost a pick 'em, -108 versus -110. Tampa -154 at home against the Kings. The Islanders on the road in Philly -130 right now. Calgary -189. At home against the Ducks. The Oilers are -263 favorites, -105 on a 1.5 puck line there tonight. The Golden Knights heavy favorites against the Blue Jackets at -286, and the Seattle Kraken -192 favorites at home against San Jose. There are the 3 games that are 5.5 tonight. Those are the 3 that we've thrown into Dusty's Undies. But you know what's like? It seemed to me at the beginning of the year, Patty, we weren't seeing as many 5.5s, and the 5.5s have started to pop up quite a bit here. I've noticed it mostly since after Christmas. I just don't know if I wasn't looking for it before that as much. But at the beginning of the year, man, it was a lot of 6.5s and 6s, and you rarely find a 5.5. Now we're seeing 5, like 2 or 3 or 4 5.5s every single night. So what do you think is going on with offense in the National Hockey League right now?
I think this is just such a heavy coach-driven league where it's almost overcoached at times, and things are, it's a copycat league, and I think scoring is down now. I think power plays, teams are getting way better at killing penalties and power plays are so overcoached, and you can look what other teams are doing, like scouting video. It's just so far advanced. I just think we're seeing just a lot of really good coached hockey teams and smarter players, and it's more advantageous to play a little bit of a lower event hockey game than it is to be all out attack. And I just don't think teams are rather advantageous and being more opportunistic, taking their chances when they get them rather than trying to create scoring chances every single time they're stepping on the ice. So I just feel like we're seeing scoring down because just there is a much bigger commitment to low event, low scoring hockey than we have seen in years past.
All right. Well, you did say Washington and Ottawa. You do like them just at the 5.5 number as well and an under. So that's something that we could consider for a little lock shop partner parlay today. What other games are hopping off the table for you here, Patty?
Well, you already mentioned one of them, and you know me, I sometimes will dive into the numbers and I will give, well thought out sound reasonings. And then sometimes I just go for the storyline and bet with my heart and bet with what I think and emotionally bet. And this one is an emotional bet. I think it might be on Huss's parlay already, but I like where his head's at if that's the case. Minnesota Wild +120 in Montreal. I get him. The Wild are coming off a big win on the road against Toronto, short turnaround here. But this is Marc-Andre Fleury's last game in Montreal. It's going to be an emotional night. He's going to have a ton of family and friends there. This is going to be a special night. Marc-Andre Fleury, I know he's not the player that he once was, but he's still got some gas left in the tank, and I think he's going to put on a masterful performance at Bell Center for the last time. So I love Minnesota +120 here on that one.
Okay, I'm just going to, everything that we bring up, I'm just going to kind of select for now, and then we can weed through it if we want. You got anything else you like?
I do. I'll go with my straight plays, then you can give yours, and then I'll give a couple of props that I like as well. So the other one I like, and it's crazy how this team has quickly turned things around, but the Islanders, -130.
That was my favorite play of the night, man. They've been on fire. They've only allowed 7 goals in their last 5 games.
It's insane. 5 straight wins. And it's not just, beating tomato can teams either. Like their last 2 wins, a 5-2 win against the Avs on Tuesday night. And then they beat the Canes 3-2. They're going up also against a very, very suspect Flyers team that they just lost Owen Tippett. And for a team that's been struggling to score goals, to lose a guy like Tippett is only going to hurt them even more. I forget what you mentioned when you were running down the goaltenders. Don't know if they are confirmed yet. Yes, they are. Sorokin and Fedotov. I like that matchup for Sorokin. He's been on fire, like you mentioned, the least amount of goals that they've allowed over that 7-game stretch. So minus 130, I would still play that as an individual play, but for a parlay piece, 1,000%.
Yeah, Philadelphia having to bounce back from the loss last night to New Jersey.
Smoked.
Smoked. 5-0 in that game. Played last night. That was the second half of a back-to-back against New Jersey in which they won the first. They lost to the Islanders a week ago. So I love the Islanders too. That was my favorite play. That was the one that I was looking at. I was like, no matter what, I think we have to have the Islanders in there as well. I think I do like Tampa here at minus 154 against the Kings, who were shut out last night. I don't hate that play either. I mean, I really like the Winnipeg Jets at minus 147. Looks like Hellebuck will be starting. We never really throw them into the partner parlay. Like we try to stay away from Winnipeg and Edmonton just because Huss and I are always all over Winnipeg and Edmonton, but Huss isn't here. So we can almost do that as a tribute to him. I don't mind that one. I'm looking at some totals here. I don't know if there's any totals that I absolutely love tonight. I mean, what's a Vegas regulation number look like? Minus 167. That could be parlayable as well against Columbus. Give me some of your props and then we'll lock in the parlay here.
Sure. A couple of props that I like. I'll go back to the shots since they worked well for me yesterday. Kyle Connor, simply enough, the guy just is one of the best goal scorers in the game, and he shoots in a high volume. So I like Kyle Connor. And let's be honest, the big bad Boston Bruins of old who play a nice, sound, tidy defensive hockey game is not the same anymore. So Kyle Connor over on his shots. And the other one is Mikko Rantanen over 3.5 shots on goal. In his last 5 games, he's tallied 16 shots on goal, but in his last 4 or more, he's had 4 or more in 2 of his last 3. And his most recent one, obviously, with the him coming over to the Canes. In his last game, he hit that 4 total in his second game with the Canes. So I think that continues as well. I know we don't want to do anything when it comes to going against the Blackhawks, but I think we can get safe here with a player shot as well. I've already mentioned how I like your line of thinking with some of the Oilers props as well. McDavid plus 117 to score a goal. I like your thinking with Bouchard as well. And then, of course, for Bouchard to get a point at minus 180, definitely not strong enough for me to play by itself, but I will be putting that one on a parlay.
As for the lock shot partner parlay here, I know I added some other teams to this mix, but I think I just really like this. It's plus 576, and it's Washington and Ottawa under. It's that Minnesota game on the road with Fleury, and then it's the Islanders. I mean, I think that's 576 with the boost. We're going to be over 6-1 on that thing. Considered Vegas in regulation, but Columbus hasn't played in 5 days. Vegas has played 2 games since Columbus last played. So, they played on the 25th. Today's the 30th. Vegas played on the 26th and then on the 28th. So, I don't know. Maybe there's an argument there that Columbus might be a little rusty after not playing a game for 4 days. But, Columbus has disappointed me a few times when I've been against them this year. So I love the Islanders. I'm a huge Marc-Andre Fleury guy. You make a great case. I would expect him to have a really good game there. And then, like we said, the Washington Capitals they play unders. I mean, it's just, it's as simple as that. So if you're good with that, we can lock that in.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Let's lock that in.
Okay, let's do that then. That'll be your lock shot partner parlay. That'll come up on the combo cards at the top of the page over at Coolbet. And if you're not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet, use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you get a nice little bonus from the boys over there. I love that we're like cruising along here through the show, and the chat is still talking about the poker from last night. Like, it's just, it was a good time. I mean, if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com or to Lock Shop Podcast after the fact, or you're watching over on YouTube and you're like, oh man, I haven't dove into any of these poker events yet. I'm telling you, fun time, good experience. The chat's friendly. It's a good time. So make plans to join us in February, and we'll try to get that date locked in here at some point. Anything else in the hockey world, Patty? Before I want to slide over and talk about some NFL stuff, some Super Bowl stuff.
You know what? I think in terms of maybe quote unquote hockey world stuff, I do want to just let folks know that we do now have odds up for some futures for U Sports. I know there is some Canadian college hockey fans as well. There's also the Crowchild Classic in Calgary. It's Calgary against Mount Royal. They play this game every single year at the Saddle Dome. We had some requests to get this up. So you have the men's and the women's Calgary versus Mount Royal games. I think that one is tomorrow night at the Saddle Dome. So we've got odds up for those two games, but we also do have the U Sports Hockey Futures. UNB right now a heavy favorite at minus 125. Saskatchewan plus 900. Mount Royal plus 1150. Concordia 13-1. UBC 1350. And then it kind of goes down further and further.
And UNB is that far ahead of everybody, eh?
Crazy, Holy man. Yeah, they're an absolute.
When you said they were at plus 125, I thought like the next team down would be 4-1. But what'd you say? It's a drop from like plus 125 to 9-1.
Minus 125.
Minus 120.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Holy
they're
smokes.
an absolute wagon.
I mean, they're wagon.
Last time I checked
for a long time.
Yeah, I think they're like 21-2 or something like that. Yeah, they've been a really good program for a very long time, but yeah, I think they've got like maybe one or two losses, but I think it actually has been against St. FX, the two losses that was looking there. St. FX 75-1, maybe a little Cinderella story against the team that's the only team that's had success against them. So yeah, take a look at that. You can go to the U Sports tab, search it up, just type in U Sports at the top of the page there. You'll be able to find those futures there as well.
Dustin Nielson, Pat Gregoire with you as Huss is probably being bathed by a bunch of random individuals right now down in Costa Rica before his big event tonight. So look, next week's going to be a heavy Super Bowl week, but I've been trying to dabble in a few of the markets every single show. And the one that I was looking at a little bit before the show today and want to kind of get into it a little bit, just straight up game props right now. So if you go to the Super Bowl tab and then click on game props, you'll see a bunch of different things. There's under the game props, and more props will pop up as we obviously get closer to the game. But right now in game props, you've got first time out. That's always minus 115. Either team shutout. If you think there's going to be a shutout in this game, you can get it at 16-1. I don't think that's going to be the case. Total combined net yards is interesting. 704 yards, which we'll talk about in a second. I just want to lay out these other ones because there's one on here that I think there might be some decent value on. Yards of the longest drive currently set at 83.5, minus 112 on both sides. First team to use a coach's challenge, minus 115. This has Sirianni panic move written all over it. I mean, so I'll probably get on Sirianni at minus 115 there. And then will there be 3 unanswered scores either way? A touchdown, field goal, safety, 3 in a row by one team. The yes is minus 175. And Patty, I have to tell you, I think I like the no at plus 140. I went back and looked at the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and the Eagles obviously didn't have Saquon, and there's some different offensive weapons, but that game was 38-35. And no team scored in three straight scoring plays. And then I went back and looked at the wild card. Wild card round, there was a few blowouts that happened. The last 2 weekends, I think only one game had one team score 3 times consecutively. And you're getting it at plus 140 here. Like, I think there's good value on the fact that both of these teams are good enough on both sides of the ball that like they'd be able to stop any sort of minimal bleeding, I guess. And it's like, I really like that plus 140 number on no 3 consecutive unanswered scores.
I think 2 is reasonable for sure. 3 just doesn't make sense to me with just the way that both these teams are. I mean, you never see, first and foremost, the Chiefs ever go down big like that, especially in these big moments. And the way that Philadelphia is built with the way that defense plays, but also just how quick they can score. Look what Saquon Barkley is able to do. Even if Jalen Hurts isn't cooking, he can still drop a dime in the bucket to either Devonta Smith or AJ Brown. Like I just
to get into field goal range too, right? Like
that's what I mean. It's not 3 consecutive touchdowns. No. It's just 3 scores. So like easy enough to get one of these guys to cut the bleeding. I totally agree. I'm kind of surprised, to be quite honest, that's actually the way that the numbers kind of shake down.
Yeah. When I saw it, I said, wait a second, that seems like the minus 170 seems too much on the yes side. So then that's why I wanted to dig into it a little bit. And I was like, no, man, I think let me just look back here. We have time. Let me just bring up the last 6 playoff games here. So the Bills-Chiefs game did not happen. Neither team scored 3 possessions in a row. And that's 2 evenly matched teams. Like I view that similar to this Kansas City-Buffalo game. The Eagles-Commanders game, this is interesting because the Eagles scored 55 points. They did not score on 3 consecutive possessions until the 4th quarter when they sealed it away. But prior to that, even though they were in full control, it was Washington scored, Philly, Washington, Philly, Washington, Philly, Washington. And then it was Jalen Hurts, Saquon, Shipley at the end of that game. So that's the game that hit. The Chiefs and Texans didn't even get in the Chiefs-Texans game. And we know how the Texans, it was Kansas City, Houston, Kansas City, Houston, Kansas City, Houston. The Commanders-Lions game, that one was insane. The Lions played absolutely awful. And even with all those turnovers, Washington never scored 3 consecutive times. Detroit, Washington touchdown, Detroit touchdown, Washington touchdown. Oh, this pains me to go through this again. Washington touchdown, Washington pick 6, rushing TD for Williams, passing TD, rushing TD for Jahmyr Gibbs, 2 more rushing TDs for the Commanders, and then a field goal by Jake Bates at the end of it. So I think the Eagles-Rams game, let me see here. Yeah, once again in the 4th quarter, the Eagles scored 3. So it's only happened twice in the last 6 games. It was the Eagles both time, and it was in the 4th quarter both times. And I don't see them doing that in the 4th quarter against Kansas City. So, I mean, the minus 170 makes no sense to me. I think the plus 140 is going to, I think a lot of people are going to probably ride with us on this right now, but I think the plus 140 is a pretty smart play.
I do. I really do. And I think the way that you just lined it out goes to show you, and it's such a big game stake. And say what you will about Nick Sirianni as a coach. I know, I'm not the biggest Sirianni guy, but I think he's going to be, I think him and all his coordinators are going to come together with a pretty big plan to shut down that Patrick Mahomes offense. And again, the Chiefs defense is a completely different beast than what the Rams are, or even what the Commanders are, and they weren't even able to do it. So I wanted to go into another prop here.
Yep.
That's definitely I wouldn't say maybe a smart bet, but I'll call it a fun bet. When you go to player specials,
okay,
there's one here. Any player to have completed a pass, a reception, and a rushing attempt.
I saw
plus
that one.
750.
I saw that one.
I love this one.
Come on.
I absolutely love this one.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes.
Lay it out. Mahomes.
So here, Patrick Mahomes has 2 career receptions in his career. One came this year. I think it might have been where it was a deflection and he caught the ball and ran for one. But we know how trolly this team is and how they love to shove stuff in people's faces.
Oh no, a Philly special against Philly. Come on.
A Philly special against Philly in the Super Bowl. Can you not see that happening? On the flip side, Philly is so like they are so adamant on, and for good reason, making sure everyone knows Saquon Barkley is the real MVP in this league. And we talk about Nick Sirianni. Say what you will about him. I could see them dialing up a play where he throws the ball.
A Saquon pass.
Wow. A Saquon pass. So there's 2 players I think that are honestly could possibly do this here. It's Saquon and it's Mahomes. But in my mind, I just see Andy Reid, he's a sicko, man. He tries some crazy stuff. I could see him dialing up the Philly special against Philly in the Super Bowl for a go-ahead touchdown. I really could see.
I think you've kind of convinced me. It's like a spite Philly special, you know. And I had a lot of time for spite this year in the National Football League. So, but with that being said, the morning after the Super Bowl, if let's say we're running a 4-man weave with you and Jake and Patty and I. Can you imagine sitting here while Huss celebrates a Chiefs Super Bowl and they drop a Philly special on the Eagles? I don't know if I could take it. I'd probably walk away for a bit.
You might as well make sure you get paid for it and bet it at plus 750 at Coolbet, right?
I'm gonna sprinkle it now because if I don't, I'm gonna be sitting there at Century Casino and be like, I cannot believe that Patty laid out a pretty good case for it and I didn't ride. So definitely going to get on that one. And so, yeah, there's two good ones. I mean, it's plus 750. You don't got to put a ton on it. I like the no 3-team scoring because I hate both teams and I can just cheer for one of them to not score 3 times, right? Like there you go. I honestly think that might be one of my bigger plays on the Super Bowl this year. And then I think I will.
The other thing, another one and that's a great way to put it too. I think there's going to be a lot of spite betting going on for this game. The other one that I like, and again, this is completely random. I just was clicking through the tabs. And folks, if you know you're looking to kill some time, you got a lot of time before the Super Bowl, but that doesn't mean that there's not a bunch of options. Like when you click this tab, you're going to see even more of those extra tabs than you normally will see. Like all the markets that are available right now at Coolbet. I think it's over 290 right now, and there's still more to come. But if you go player longest rush, Patrick Mahomes longest rush at 11.5 at minus 120. He's breaking off a long run.
Oh yeah,
especially the way the last couple of games have gone. He was running like a madman against the Bills. I see him breaking off a really, really long run, and 11.5 is really not that long.
Is it crazy to you that that's the same number as Jalen Hurts has?
It's what's wild, to be quite frank.
Yeah. They're both at 11.5.
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of like both of them at 11.5.
You know what? We should probably put up like a combo where both quarterbacks have a run of at least 12 yards in Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're definitely right. That's actually a smart play. Saquon, for example, 24.5, which I think that's kind of low. Just the way that he can break it off.
If he finds 10 yards, he's finding 25. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like if he gets some space, yeah. And I think I'd probably take Pacheco under the 8.5.
Yeah.
And I'd probably go Kareem Hunt over 11.5.
I think you're onto something with that special though, like quarterback, something about the quarterback.
Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's going to be much healthier than he has been. He even looked better last game. And I mean, he's a rushing quarterback. I mean, yeah, I think, yeah, I like both of them. I do.
Yeah, we'll definitely get Jake or myself.
I guess 11.5 is set so that they pick up their 10 yards, step out of bounds 1 yard later. And that's why it's set at that 11.5 number, right? It's just, they get what they need and then that's it, right?
But what we've seen over the last couple of games, especially last game, Mahomes was dropping his shoulder and taking contact. We know Hurts always does that. Like he's a pretty physical runner as it is. I know he's got the knee, but you said it. Like he looked fine. Like there was no issues with the knee last game.
Yeah,
now
he's going to be 2 weeks.
Extra couple weeks.
Yeah,
that knee's going to be doing quite fine.
Yeah, I think that'll be okay. And it's exciting already looking into these. I think I like both of those quarterbacks in that spot, which will be easy to slide in. Mark A over in the chat. Of course, you can text us if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Fire us a text or in the nasty chat. If you're watching over on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up for us. Mark says, guys, how many times is Taylor Swift shown on camera during the game odds? Those will be up at some point, right, Patty? Are we gonna get something like that?
Yeah, we're gonna have to have. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a Taylor Swift tab.
There should be a Taylor Swift tab, 100%. You know what? Like Swifties would probably sign up to bet that stuff. Like, don't you think?
Of course they would.
I mean, if it was one of my favorite musicians, like if Detroit was playing in the game and Eminem was there, give me an Eminem tab because I'll bet away.
Exactly.
I mean, I love that guy. What would you? Just a fun game, and you can play along in the chat. What would you set that number at? Taylor Swift on-camera appearances during the game, not post-game and not pre-game.
Yeah, it'd have to be whistle to whistle. Right?
Yeah, whistle to whistle from kickoff to final whistle, but including halftime.
Well, there's going to be one shot at halftime of her
dancing to Kendrick Lamar.
Lamar for sure.
That's one.
Is 5.5 too low, or is that?
It depends. To be honest with you, you know what I think it comes down to? The type of game you're expecting Travis Kelce to have.
True.
Like if Travis Kelce gets 8 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown, 5.5 is too low. If Travis Kelce has the game that he had last week, 5.5 is probably a fair number. Because I would. Do you think we get the? And Super Bowl's always crazy because the pregame show goes for like 2 days before, so they would have talked to it. But do you think we get? It's just, to me that like the Super Bowl's bigger than Taylor Swift. I know in the world it's not the case, but like, do you think we get an early and Taylor Swift is here view, or do you think we don't see anything about her until Kelce starts doing something?
I think maybe we get like the one initial shot of like the box, and maybe it's not intentionally showing Taylor. It's maybe, showing Mama Kelce, and that's another odd. I think that might need to be put up is like, what is Jason Kelce's attire going to be? Is he going to be in Eagles gear? Is he going to be in Chiefs gear? Is he going to take a page out of AJ Hawk's sister's book and have the half Ohio State, half Notre Dame jersey from the Rose Bowl a few years ago? Like, I'm very curious to see what he is going to be wearing. I know a lot of Eagles fans are like, oh, there's no way he's going to be rooting for the Eagles. I don't know, man. I think we might be seeing some split gear coming from Jason.
Have you watched his show?
I have not. I've seen some clips.
Jason Kelce. I've seen some clips.
I've seen some clips.
I listened to a podcast here locally, the MCTV podcast with Mark and Corey, and it's like about mostly comics and comic movies and stuff like that. But they were talking about it, and Mark Majo said it was the worst thing that he's ever seen on television. And
really?
Said, yeah. So now, like, he said it was so bad to the point that now I have to go watch an episode. Like, I have to go see how bad this is, because I mean, handing a guy who was playing last year, and he does the podcast, and he's on the desk, but handing him like a late night talk show sports wise that nobody else has really done successfully, and then throwing it to him, I feel like it's too much too early. Kelce's a beast. Don't get me wrong. I like him, but I think he's got to be careful in oversaturating the market with himself.
Dude, 100%.
Yeah,
it's every time I turn on the TV, he's in your face. You turn on something on social media, he's there, and it's like the honeymoon stage with him for a lot of people is starting to go over. And maybe if Travis retires and they're both not playing anymore, maybe it'll be a little more. But like, I don't want to say insufferable yet, but it's leaning on insufferable here soon. Like you're right. It's happening very quickly, and it's starting to get oversaturated, which again, I think you kind of nailed it on its head. He's done a great job. The podcast does really well. He's always been, even while he was playing, such a great personality in Philly. But I think the ties to Taylor and the ties to Travis, just automatically all these networks and companies are all like, well, this is our way in. We can get the Swifty. We can get the Swifty money in this way. That's what it seems to me. So,
all right. Before we go, I want to get to another look at the leaderboard. Rory has had an ace today at Pebble. I just see golf.com. Rory ace 27 minutes ago. So that's nice to see for Rory, at least. Colin Morikawa. Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it, but Ian McLean, one of the Canadian sports bettors on Twitter, great personality if you want to give him a follow, especially with betting. He bet no hole-in-one. And he lined it out perfectly. Like there hadn't been a hole-in-one in a long time at Pebble Beach. I don't know the exact how many years it's been. And it was a pretty solid number. He bet it earlier this week. Apparently, like conditions, it was supposed to be pretty windy this weekend as well.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a lot of wind.
And sure enough, poor Ian, it's his bet's already done. And, we're hardly into the afternoon here.
It's not even 11 o'clock there yet. This guy, that's That's a tough one. Yeah, Rory made an ace on 15. I'm watching it right now. Oh,
2000. Oh, I just pulled up his tweet. I feel for him. So Ian McMillan. Again, you can follow him at Ian MacBets. Says no for a hole in one plus 110. Adding it to my card. There hasn't been a hole in one recorded at this event at Spyglass or Pebble Beach since 2016. With only 80 golfers in the field this year, there will be even fewer opportunities. Boom. He places it. And sure enough, it's Rory who, and this is a guy who
he dunked it. It didn't even roll in. He dunked it.
I feel for him because he's a Leaf fan like me. He's a Falcons fan. Like he is a true Pain Sports as Pain follow on Twitter. That's why I think I feel for him so often. But just the fact that it's 2:00 here on the East Coast and his bet's already dead. That's hilarious.
That does suck. Poor guy. Oh, that is a tough one. All right, one more time. Let's give you one quick recap of everything we've got, both exclusives and a Lock Shop Partner Parlay is up. Huss's Pool Party is up. Patty Knows Puck is up. And Dusty's Undies is up. I love my little minus 106. I mean, just come and ride with me on it. I think it'll be a good one tonight. The Lock Shop Partner Parlay has gone up. Is Minnesota Wild also on Huss's card there. We're under the 5.5 in the Ottawa-Washington game, and then the Islanders on the road trying to pick up their 6th win in a row in Philly, who got smoked last night by the Devils. That's at plus 667. So a really nice number on the Lock Shop Partner Parlay. And then, like we mentioned before, EST and WST parlays are already up for the Edmonton Sports Talk crowd. And of course, all you Winnipeg fans watching or listening can join in here as well. McDavid over 1.5 points. Nugent, Draisaitl each with a point. Oilers win plus 225. Winnipeg Sports Talk from a pool in Costa Rica. Kyle Connor and Nick Ehlers to score. And the Jets to win at 8-1. Should be a fun night.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to all those exclusives. Shout out to Jake and Ev Dog and the boys for getting those up. And thanks again for everyone who joined the poker tournament last night. It was an awesome time listening and watching as a viewer. We'll have to figure out once Huss is back from his Costa Rica escapades, we'll pick a new date. We'll get something on the books for February, and we'll make it even bigger and better than it's been.
That's going to do it for the Lock Shop. We've got 2 guys and a goalie coming up. We'll be diving into that Oilers all-quarter century team that came out today. We'll get into that coming up at noon right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, taking you up until puck drop tonight between the Detroit Red Wings and the Edmonton Oilers. If you like Bouchard to finally score on the power play tonight, you can just get a Bouchard anytime goal at plus 375 here at Coolbet as well. For Pat Gregoire, I'm old 10th place in the tournament last night. Thank you very much for joining us. Best of luck tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow in the Lock Shop.